Mohamed Hussein Tantawi Solomon is an Egyptian field marshal and former statesman. He was the commander-in-chief of the Egyptian Armed Forces and, as chairman of the Supreme Council of the Armed Forces, was the de facto head of state from the ousting of Hosni Mubarak on the 11th of February 2011 to the inauguration of Mohamed Morsi as President of Egypt on 30 June 2012. Tantawi served in the government as Minister of Defense and Military Production from 1991 until Morsi ordered Tantawi to retire on 12 August 2012. Military career. Tantawi, who is of Nubian origin, joined the Egyptian Military Academy in 1952 and received his commission as an army officer on 1 April 1955 in the infantry. Later that year he took part in the Suez War as an infantry platoon commander. He was promoted to major in 1961 and commanded an infantry company in Yemen during the North Yemen Civil War. Later in his career he was involved in the Six-Day War of 1967 as a LT colonel and battalion commander, the War of Attrition of 1967 to 1970, and the October or Yom Kippur War of 1973. During the Yom Kippur War he was a colonel and the chief operations officer GSOI of the 16th Infantry Brigade of the 2nd Field Army. He held various command and staff appointments including both the Chief of Staff and then Commander of the Egyptian Second Army between 1986 and 1989. Additionally, he has served as the military attaché to Pakistan between 1983 and 1985, an important role given the two countries' political and military links. Tantawi has served as commander of the Republican Guard between 1989 and 1991, and chief of the Operations Authority of the Armed Forces. In 1991, he also commanded an Egyptian army unit in the US-led Gulf War against Iraq to force Iraq to withdraw from Kuwait, which it had invaded in 1990. On 29 May 1991, following the dismissal of Lt. General Youssef Sabri Abu Talib, Tantawi was appointed as Minister of Defense and Military Production and Commander-in-Chief of the Egyptian Armed Forces. He was also appointed as Field Marshal. It is believed that Tantawi would have succeeded Mubarak as President of Egypt, had the assassination attempt in June 1995 been successful. Early in 2011, Tantawi was seen as a possible contender for the Egyptian presidency. 2011-2012 Egyptian Revolution. On the 11th of February 2011, when President Hosni Mubarak resigned, after 18 days of protests from the Egyptian people, Tantawi transferred authority to the Supreme Council of the Armed Forces, headed by himself. The council, overseeing issues with the chairman of the Supreme Constitutional Court, Farouk Sultan, dissolved the Egyptian parliament. Overseeing the referendum over temporary constitutional amendments took place on 19 March, and presided over the accountability of Mubarak and many of the former regime's top figures summoned to justice. On a personal level, Tantawi kept a relatively low profile since the handing over of power to the council, only making a first public appearance in an address to mark the graduation of a batch at the police academy on 16 May 2011. He opted to leave most public speeches and press releases to other senior members in the council. He also appointed Prime Minister Essam Sharif and his cabinet. Tantawi also received a number of foreign officials, including British Prime Minister David Cameron and U.S. Secretary of State Hillary Rodham Clinton. After a new series of protests in November 2011, that escalated by the 22nd of November to over 33 dead and over 2,000 injured in the wake of the use of force by the police to quell protests at Tahrir Square and its vicinity. Tantawi appeared on Egyptian national television to pledge the speeding up of presidential elections, the principal demand of protesters, and that the armed forces are fully prepared to immediately hand over power and to return to their original duty in protecting the homeland if that's what the people want. through a popular referendum if necessary. On 12 August 2012, Egypt's President Mohamed Morsi ordered Tantawi to retire as head of the armed forces and defense minister. Tantawi has been decorated with the Order of the Nile and appointed, instead, as an advisor to Morsi. There was speculation that his removal is part of a pre-arranged withdrawal by the military from political power in exchange for immunity from prosecution for earlier actions. Criticism of Tantawi in Egypt has been manifold, including many chants in Tahrir for him to leave. Chants against Tantawi have included, "Tantawi, strip your women naked, come join us," according to The Telegraph. Protesters have also demanded the execution of Tantawi. Nabil Rajib, the head of Bahrain Center for Human Rights, criticized Tantawi for his reception for King of Bahrain, Hamad bin Isa Al Khalifa, in October 2011. "This is a very bad message from the Supreme Council of the Armed Forces to the international community, the Egyptian and Bahraini people," he said. "Continuing this path threatens Egypt's democratic future," he added.